Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Welcome to Racing Across America on a Friday morning here at Saratoga on a gorgeous morning, sunny, a little breeze, 100% better than yesterday, and kind of nicer than a couple days ago, which was a nice day, but the heat and humidity has dissipated. Really gorgeous day. If you're headed up here, you will enjoy the action on a nice Friday card heading into Whitney weekend. Today on the show, Paul Halloran will join us a little bit later. He's got a book he's working on about Cody's Wish. He was kind of with the team through a big part of their campaign. And so we'll have Paul a little bit later on. We'll also be talking a little bit National Thoroughbred League, which is kind of a new entity last couple of years. And their big event is coming up down at Kentucky Downs this season in a few weeks. And we'll also talk a little bit about Old Frinds at Cabin Creek, the nice retirement facility right up in Greenfield that has a event coming up on the weekend. So we'll hit on that. But joining me top of the show, I was lucky enough to be on the Bick show the other day, and Bick had Marshall Gramm on earlier, and I said, oh, I got to get him on, but I think he may be leaving town soon. I should. And Bick said, yes, Sunday. So, boom, Friday visit from Marshall Gramm. Marshall, good morning.
Perfect timing. I always love coming on. It's a great honor to talk about Saratoga and everything with you. And, yeah, I've been up here since early May.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've had a great long trip up here. Unfortunately, the meet starts to get rolling, and I've got to go back. My first faculty meetings on the 13th. We start classes on the 21st. My son starts school August 11th. So we get rolling pretty quickly, but it's been a wonderful summer up here. Been some great crowds for July. It really has. Again, I'll be watching from home, but it's always fun to leave on a high note with Whitney Stakes Days. So it's been a lot of fun for us.
Yeah, and you're a professor, for folks who know, professor of economics at Rhodes College, Nashville?
Rhodes College. I live in Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis. I knew it was one of those famous southern cities.
Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee, about a 3-hour drive from Oaklawn Park, my other favorite track. And yeah, I've been at Rhodes now 25 years. So it's been a long time teach economics. And this spring, I will teach the economics of racetrack wagering markets. Very popular class that I have not taught since 2022. This will be my 4th time teaching it. When I taught it in 2022, it had 75 students. It was the biggest class at Rhodes since I've been at Rhodes. We're a small liberal arts college, and I'm excited to bring it back. And I always have some very eager, excited students who are interested in learning about horse racing and betting markets and decision making. And we do a lot of statistics and look at markets and price discovery. So excited to teach that and excited for my students to learn about horse racing.
I want to take that.
No, it's a lot of fun. A lot of numbers, though.
Is the textbook a daily racing form?
Well, we do read Brad Free's Handicapping 101, and I've been using Byron Speed and
classic.
So we do use those. There is no real textbook. I really get into a lot of the odds, right? Because these betting markets, right? You bet a horse race, and it's a market that comes together and establishes prices, and ultimately the odds are very accurate reflections of a horse's probability. So it starts out as a study of markets, and the first place anyone starts in handicapping is figuring out what the odds tell you, and then from there we model pace. We do some modeling of track bias. We do a lot of statistics. We talk about decision making. So there's a lot of stuff that we will do that are at least close enough related to economics, finance, psychology, decision science that make me justify calling it economics course. But we handicap races, so it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like, as I say, I'd love to take that course. But yeah, the pari-mutuel betting system brings together a bunch of minds and comes up with prices, and I think that is reflected in other financial institutions as well. And so I think you can kind of extrapolate a little bit off of horse racing. And you've been in horse racing now for a while. Talk about how you became a fan and then eventually an owner?
Well, I became a fan as a kid growing up watching the Derby, but I was also a sports page kid. When I grew up, we didn't have cable television. Weirdly, I grew up in Washington, D.C., but cable was initially a rural thing. So we didn't get cable TV until my junior year of high school. So, and we only got a few networks. For whatever reason, we didn't get NBC either. So I became a newspaper kid. And I read the Washington Post sports page. There were 2 pages on horse racing. There were all the charts from the Maryland track that was running, from the harness tracks back then, Rosecroft and Free State, from Charlestown. Andy Beyer would write a column, and so I read Beyer. And I think that we all know about the Beyer speed figures, but Andy's a terrific writer.
Yeah.
And so I was a kid who loved good sports writing, and was also a fan of like Rick Tellender and Read Sports Illustrated. So I became a fan of Beyer's, and horse racing lured me in, and watching the Derby every year, the excitement from it, and from it, I bought Andy's books. I bought other books on horse racing that were out at the time. I would walk to the drugstore and buy a $2 racing form and come up with my own little systems, and really became a fan in junior high, and a lot of little boys get into baseball. I got into horse racing, and it went along. Went to graduate school, was doing research on boring stuff like banking regulation, and realized I could do research on horse racing. I would bet horses, and at some point was in a position to start buying horses with my partner Clay Sanders in Memphis. We put together horse partnerships, and so that way been involved in all parts of the game. I breed horses. I have 15 broodmares up in New York at Irish Hill Century Farm. I stand a stallion in New York, Warriors Charge. So I'm committed to the New York bred program, and have campaigned some nice New York breds. So I love racing up here. And we're to the point as a college professor, I have my summers to do research and have some flexibility. So we now spend our summers up here. It's a wonderful place to be.
And the New York bred program has grown so much, and they just the past couple of years. Yet, man, boy, you have a good New York bred.
Yeah. One of my the first horse I claimed was a mare named Aunt Dot Dot, and I claimed her for $5,000 at Parks in 2009, and I won a 3-way shake, and we got offered $10,000 on the spot for the horse, and we turned it down, which in retrospect is crazy. I should have taken the 10 grand and walked away ahead. But we kept them there, and eventually retired her and bred her. In her third foal, we named Dot Matrix. It was a Freud, was a New York bred, and Dot Matrix ended up winning $700,000, winning in New York bred stake, winning an open stake down at Sam Houston to John Conley. It was a grade 3 winner, campaigned by trained by Brad Cox. And so that was my first big New York bred, and we've been committed to the program ever since.
I pulled up a couple of replays and for folks who don't know, the Nom de Plume, TenStrike Racing, the Purple Silk's always a lot of fun. I pulled up a couple of recent wins because you guys, TenStrike is a partnership, and you're in with a group of people on Bishop's Bay at a Brad Cox trainee, and we're going to take a look at the Salvatore Mile back on June 14th. Bishop's Bay is the number 9 horse here, and I saw just had a workout the other day down at Belmont on the 26th. So nice, as I say, you're in with a group of other owners as well, but this is certainly a nice runner, Bishop's Bay. Got anything lined up coming up for Bishop's Bay?
So I believe he's going to run on Travers Day.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what the 7 furlong, I think it's a 7 furlong stake for older horses on Travers Day.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
Yeah, I'm blanking as well.
Yeah.
But I believe that's what we're pointing for. We're going to give him a big shot. We own this horse with TenStrike Racing owns this horse with a bunch of other partnerships in a group that Liz Crow and Brad Weisbord put together. And so we own a small piece, but he's been a lot of fun. He's done well at that grade 3 kind of listed level.
Yeah.
And now we're giving him a shot. And we hope he fits. Brad's done a great job with the horse, and we'll see. It's a chance to take a shot with the big boys. He definitely earned it. Right?
Yeah, relatively late in the race. That was start number 10 and win number 7.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. And I talked to you when you sat down. Wanted to pull up again earlier this summer, July 10th. We're going to look at a maiden special victory. Lobby Rendezvous owned just with 10 strikes. So it's your horse, and it was a nice win. You said you didn't see anything coming up for this one here, maybe down the Kentucky Downs for Lobby Rendezvous.
Yeah, this has been such a fun filly for us. It's a homebred for me, and our partners are involved, but it's a homebred for me. It is I campaigned the mare, Lucky Move, won at Saratoga for Bentley Combs, and then was a multiple stakes winner and champion New York bred older mare. We bred to Run Happy. I'm a numbers guy, and I kind of like Run Happys and how they've been doing. Ultimately, Run Happy didn't go on and didn't sort of reflect the numbers I saw. But, I made a deal with Mattress Mac. He sold me a bunch of mattresses when I bought a home here and gave me a deal on Run Happy. And this is a Kentucky bred. We've been patient with the horse. We knew it would get better as it went longer, and we knew it would get better as it got older. The mare didn't really hit her stride until she was 5 or 6. And so we've been patient with her. We knew the Mound 8 at Saratoga would hit her to the tee, but coming up here, she'd have to face tough competition. I breed to sell. I also breed to race, and this is one, that if I put through the sale would have, maybe RNA'd for 20 grand, but by not going through the sale, it wasn't maiden auction eligible. So I had to run it. You have to run against the big boys when they're not auction eligible. So I was, coming up here and running against a daughter of Close Hatches. That's half the Tacitus. Running against a daughter of Wildcat. Running against these impressive pedigrees.
Yeah.
But so proud of my Run Happy Lobby Rendezvous. We're excited about her. We're looking at Kentucky Downs for an A other than start. We're not sure she could turf, but look, Run Happies aren't supposed to go long, and they certainly aren't supposed to turf. But we love the distance. We think she can run all day. If there were Mound 8 in the book, we would have run up here. But the next race is at the Wilson Chute, so we'd rather get the longer distance and see what she can do. But we're excited about her future. We think she's going to get better. And for me, the opening, she won on opening day. To win on opening day is such an honor. And I had 3 on opening day, and I was in the first race, and my horse clipped heels and ended up going down. She's totally fine. Just had got a big cut. Has had some stitches. But your favorite in a race, and your horse doesn't finish, was favorite in the 4th, finished last, right? So I thought I was cursed. And then we'd go into this race against monsters, the one I thought we had the least chance in, and we win. So it was the highs and lows of racing all in one day.
Where'd the name come from? Lobby Rendezvous.
Oh, it's a longer story that's not fit to be told in. I wonder, not fit to be told on the air.
I wondered it has a ring to it that there may be some.
Yeah, there's definitely a story behind it, but not a story I'd want to. It's not a story I'd want to tell on air.
I hear you. You're also a contest player and a pretty good contest player. NHC, BCBC, and other contests during the year you can find. Oh, I've seen your name on the leaderboard on the Saturday contest here, in fact.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing them. I do think that it's a fun way if you have a strong opinion. The Saratoga weekly contest, and the $300 that they have at Naira Bets. Take your best opinion and push your money in and see what you can do. Usually 5 or 6 to 8 times bankroll will get the job done, get some money. So, I love playing the contest. There's, bunch of Saratoga-based contests this weekend. There's the Monmouth-based Saratoga contest. Twin Spires has a contest, and Naira Bets will have a contest. So I'll play all of them. I really enjoy the live bankroll contest.
I was going to say, NHC is mythical. Win bets. Is it win place?
Win place.
Yeah.
Yes.
And BCBC is live money. And when I get players in here who play both of them, everybody seems to appreciate a little more of the live money.
I mean, I do. It's much more like betting, and it's in some ways it's pretty simple. You take your best opinions and work your way down. Really, when I played the BCBC, I really put just 2 opinions together, and that was enough to turn the $7,500 starting bankroll to 160 grand. And you write twice, 2 or 3 times, and it can turn into a big day. It forces you to be very disciplined to go to your best opinion. So I enjoy those, and think a lot about which races do I want to play. Really makes you focus on your best opinion. And I do think that as a handicapper today, in a much more competitive environment, not only because of the computer teams, but also because there just isn't as much casual and numbers players, dumber money out there, right? Everyone's sophisticated now, and it takes you can learn to be a very good handicapper very quickly because of all the tools, shows like yours, podcasts that exist, that people can learn about racing very quickly and become, nearly as good as experts. So as a result, it's shark eats shark out there. So, it's become where now I try to focus on my best opinions. If I end up going to the races and play one race significantly, I will do that, right? I'll take my best opinion and play it. If I don't see something I like, I'll play $5 to $10 because I like the action, but I'm happy doing that for small plays. And when I like something, I'll really, dig in deep and hope to make a score. Cause it's just the days where you could handicap race by races are a lot tougher. So It's about strength of opinion.
And as I say, it seems like when I get contest players in here, people are more into the live money, the BC type, the Keeneland Challenge, and those kind of, or the weekend $300 up here. But, and I can vouch for it, the NHC is just a lot of fun because it's like a horse players convention.
It's an event like no wonder. And I like both contest formats. The NHC is unique. It's a $2 win place contest where you're choosing, among 30, you're choosing the bet among 8 tracks that are running. So part of it is which races you choose to play and which horses you choose. And you have to be really good. You have to know a lot of circuits. And so it is a fun, long, mentally taxing, very up and down 2 or 3 day experience, but it's also a horse players convention. And so this is where horse players get to meet one another, get to know one another. And, I think a lot of good has come out of it, in terms of talking about issues that impact horse players and therefore ultimately, at least we hope are positively affecting the game. So, I love it as a horse players convention. I love going there. I love the dinners. I love talking to other players, hearing about how they approach racing. And so it's an experience. If you've never been before, it's definitely worth trying to qualify.
I tell people that all the time. There are online contests that you get in for a reasonable amount of money and play. And I do it all the time. I just don't play enough of them. We're lucky enough to go out and cover it a couple of years, and it was fun. And now I want to get out as a player as well. And the last year I missed
it's
buck 80.
Last year I barely qualified, and it got down to December. And so I just, I barely made it. This year I got both seats wrapped up. It's a huge sigh of relief for me. It's always a huge sigh of relief once I get qualified, and because to me it's one of my favorite trips of the year. And now. It's right at conference tournament time. There's, if you flame out in the contest, you can go watch, go watch Big West basketball or, the Pac-12 or now the Big Ten is going to future have their tournaments out there. The West Coast Conference, a lot of the Western conferences. So it's a great time to be out there in Vegas.
Totally agree. Can't let you go without touching on what has been a hot topic recently, and you've been hitting on it. On Twitter, and we'll get into it by talking a little bit about Del Mar, which last weekend had the late odds drops on a few races that lit up social media, pointing to the computer-assisted wagering groups, the CAWs, and because it got so much attention, Del Mar stepped in and said, we're going to cut them off a little bit early, and it seems like the numbers you have put out yesterday and going back to last week seems to clearly have had an effect.
There's no doubt. Day one was very successful. I've not had a chance to go through the handle numbers, right? Because the teams are now limited to where they can't bet in the win pool after 2 minutes to post. And so what was happening and what we were all seeing were these dramatic last cycle odd shifts that were really sort of shocking when you look at them. At Del Mar, prior to this change, the last couple of years, about 15% of the money was coming in the last click, right? So relative to all racetracks, that's actually a pretty small number. Now, Saratoga with their limitations, and New York with their limitations, it'll be 5 to 7% on the last cycle. But for most bigger tracks, it's higher than 15%. I mean, the Kentucky tracks would be around 20%. Santa Anita would be 18%. Some of the smaller tracks, it could get up to 40%. Right. So that number in and of itself wasn't bad, but it's the fact that these last cycles had such a dramatic impact on certain horses. There were 29 horses that had a 50% jump in the amount wagered on them. So, for example, if a horse had 10% wagered to win on the horse at before that last click. If it got to 15% or above, that's a 50% increase. I tagged 29 of those horses. 7 of them won, and there were some dramatic drops. Nancy Griffith dropped from 18 to 1 to 6 to 1. Velocity dropped from 8 to 1 to 7 to 2. For Velocity, right, 50% of the money in the last cycle was bet on Velocity. So 50% of the money was bet on an 8 to 1 horse that dropped to 7 to 2. Nancy Griffith, I believe it was Nancy Griffith going into the gate. There was 10 grand in the win pool on her, and then in the last cycle, 25 of the last 69 grand bet in that one cycle was on her, and so you're getting nearly 3 times as much bet on her in the last click. And so what was remarkable was how much they were able to move the number in one cycle. And the biggest problem to me with the teams are it hurts price discovery. And they bet at the last second. They use the public's information as part of their models, right? So they have these complex models with lots of data that look at the races, but the public's odds are very important to their decision making as well. And this is referred to all the way back to Bill Benter, who's the godfather of computer betting, in his first paper he wrote on the subject, that the public odds incorporating your models make them more powerful. So they wait till the last second. Furthermore, they don't want to reveal their hand, right? And so they wait till the last second to bet, but it messes up the pari-mutuel system. It was never meant to be played where someone could bet last and change the number. And when the public doesn't know what price they're going to get, right, there's uncertainty. They miss bets that they might have made, or they bet a horse and they see it go down in odds. It leads to conspiracy theories, especially when those horses win. And even though of those 29 big odds droppers, only 7 of them won, right? Those 7 that won were very visible, right? And so, again, I applaud the change. I think it was necessary, and we've seen the early returns in that on opening day, there were most of the late money, the late money averaged 2 to 5%, and there were no big odds moves. Now, little unfair to declare victory yet, because most odds droppers are on horses that are short prices, and odds drifters tend to be longer prices. But yesterday there was kind of bombs away at away at Del Mar, and so we'll see what happens. But I'm confident that this is a step in the right direction, and I'm hoping that other bigger tracks will follow suit, because the biggest thing they do is interfere with price discovery, right? I admire what the teams do with their modeling, but when they're pushing their money in late and not allow, and it hurts players in terms of knowing what prices they're going to get, that's a problem for the game.
It's absolutely a problem for the game, because that's what you're here to bet, and you look up at the board, and if you're not getting what you expect, it has sparked justifiably some outrage on social media. And so we'll see what happens, again, as you say, kind of tracking a little further at Del Mar. Do you know, you kind of alluded to it with the numbers you have, do we know in general, how often do they win? Because to me, it's very different if they win 30% of the time as compared to if they win 80% of the time. And you look on social media, I think some people think they win 100% of the time, and that's just not possible.
No, I think of the 70 races that were won last week, 39 winners were odds droppers and 31 were odds drifters in the last cycle. Now, again, that doesn't mean that the favorites will tend to odds drop anyway, and the longer shots will tend to odds drift. So, I don't know that you can point to that and say those were all where they were and they were faded against. But in a broader sense, the ROI overall on horses that drop in odds are, it's still a negative number, but far better than horses that drift up in odds. And so I'm working on a study right now to take a deeper look at those horses that are bet in the last cycle, how much the numbers move, at different tracks. We don't know how much they win. We do know that they are. They get large rebates, and they bet a lot of. They bet in most pools. They often bet multiple horses, and so they're looking just to make money over rebate, and they have a large infrastructure. A lot of these teams have programmers, have people who evaluate the horse's physical appearance, all sorts of modelers, and so they have large payrolls, and so they're looking to make to make something above what their rebate allows them to turn a profit, and they turn a lot of money, and that way they do provide liquidity to the industry. But we do need to provide price discovery for regular players, and to at least point them to pools that regular players can win in. So, I think the one upside of this that we have at NYRA and that we now have at Del Mar is, recreational players, weekend warriors, even, pen and paper professionals really ought to start in the win pool, because those pools now, the prices are stable, and the teams aren't there as much. And so we see sometimes these low exacta payouts, and they're infuriating to see, but the reality exists is these are two different pools. And one pool, the teams are prevalent, the others, they aren't. So the payouts are going to be better in the win pool. That's what we're seeing.
So another question I have about these, and you kind of alluded to it again with the teams of, modelers and programmers and whatnot. What do they're looking for inefficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they coming up with a line that tells them a number is inefficient? Are there people doing that, or are the programs doing that?
So they build a model based on historical data, right? And it also incorporates odds, so they can track the movements. And then from that, I'm not sure how every team works, but from that, so based upon their historical data and all of their inputs, right? Maybe even inputs for the physical appearance, input for workouts, whatever it might be, they have those in their models, right? And then from their models, incorporating the odds, they get a probability, right? So this horse has a 25% chance of winning. Now, based upon that 25% chance, they compare it to what the odds board tell them. And this is why they have to wait till the last possible moment, right? So if they have a 25%, if they deem a horse has a 25% chance of winning, right? And then the odds board is it's bet such that the odds have it at 17% chance, right? Then they're going to bet that horse based upon a criterion that the larger edge they have, the more they'll bet. So if they can win 25% of the time based on their model, and it's only taking 17% of the money, right? After they do all the adjustment for takeout and rebate and everything else, that becomes a bet for them. So it's literally like literally imagine them betting coin flips, but getting paid, 53 cents, 50. They have a 3 cent edge on heads, and so they just keep betting heads. In the long run, they make money. And look, models, not all models work. Not all models will necessarily work into the future, right? As handicappers have gotten more savvy, as the modelers have gotten better, as they're always looking for new inputs into their model, new data that they can work with. The competition among the teams themselves is fierce.
Well, I was going to say,
it's not just one.
If multiple teams are betting in and there's a big odds swing, aren't they kind of going? They're winding up in the same position as the public.
In some situations, they are all on the similar horses or on the same horses. In some cases, they're wrong, right? They're not always right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to bet a lot of races to make small profits. And so, I don't know the right way to necessarily beat them, but they tend to, like early speed. In fact, whenever I struggle handicapping, I always go back to whoever is leading after the first quarter, whether it's turf, dirt, or synthetic, is ROI positive, right?
Yeah,
so, and as if they lead after half, it's even more. And on dirt, it's better than turf, then it's better than synthetic. But whatever it might be, you lead at the first quarter, you're ROI positive. And so they tend to favor speed, and they tend to favor front runners. They tend to underrate steam horses. So, for example, they tend to be against firsters and have horses having a start matters. They tend not to overreact. Sometimes, especially with our horses on the Derby Trail, the horse will run great and then get bet down really short, and then run poorly and then balloon up in price, and they just go up and down, and they tend to look over a longer term horizon. So, but it's hard to know exactly what they do, and they're very good at what they do. And so, trying to beat them maybe involve that sitting on your hands and looking for the right spot. And when you have a clever angle or something that you see, then betting out, or it probably is certainly looking for undervalued long shots and looking for races that something may happen from a pace perspective where the race can collapse and you can really score out. I do think that, what they've done is it used to be people look at races would talk about what's called the favorite long shot bias, where the public tended to overestimate low probability events. So they'd overbet long shots and underbet favorites. Well, that's gone away. The teams have done away with that, right? And so favorites now get bet down to 2 to 5, which we would just never see in the past. And so all of it just makes it much more challenging for horse players. But the biggest thing they've ruined, right? And I don't begrudge them for winning. I don't begrudge them for the modeling they're doing. It's the price discovery, right? People need to know what they get when they bet. And these, like Nancy Griffith, who's 18 to 1. I understand she would have never been 18 to 1 if the teams and everyone were betting earlier. She may not have been 6 to 1, but she certainly was going to be 18 to 1, right? And so if she was 6 or 7 to 1, it's great for the public to know that, right? And it works both directions. I mean, there's situations where, I may not bet a horse at 4 to 5, and it goes off at 8 to 5, and I would have bet it, right? And so that's handle that we lose. And so if we can stabilize prices and the win pool is a place to start, I think it's much better for players.
Yeah, and so we'll keep our eyes on Del Mar. And again, they've been shutting off early here for a while.
And this has been a great experiment. I wish they would be more public about it. Hey, this is what we do. My dream is that the tracks would stabilize their visible pools, win, place, show, exacta, and double. And so, the one of our biggest impediments to our game is people coming from a fixed odds environment, and when they see the odds move around, it's hard for them to adjust to it, right? And so, if we can stabilize our visible pools, I think that would be great. But doing it in the win pool is the best place to start. So I'm excited about it. I hope other tracks follow suit, and I hope the experiment works. Again, it's a pari-mutuel game, right? And look, there certainly will be an instance where, not a team, but one individual, they bet $5,000 in the last click, it moves the odds. That's just the way it works. That's the way the game works.
So again, we'll be. I'm sure you're going to keep track of the situation on Del Mar. Check Marshall's Twitter feed for more info there. As usual, Marshall, we could go on and on and on because again, the owner, breeder, contest player, keeping track of the situation with the CAWs and whatnot. But we appreciate you visiting this morning. Enjoy the weekend and travel safe back home.
All right. Well, great. I always love coming on and appreciate you having me on every year.
Always happy to do it. All right. We'll take a break. More from Racing Across America right after this. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
For centuries, the bond between horse and human has been forged in trust and hands-on care. Thoroughbred Racing is combining that tradition with cutting-edge technology to raise our standards even higher. New investments in wearable biometrics, advanced imaging, and AI help optimize our safety programs.
That opening quarter mile was a quick one.
Every day, a commitment to improving their care. So win or lose, it's safety that runs first. To learn more, visit safetyrunsfirst.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we are joined now by our friend Paul Halloran, in and out of town typically during the meet, doing a little work for Saratoga Special, and that includes this weekend. I have a little preview on the big stake coming up tomorrow on the grass, and I'm assuming back in later in the meet as well.
Travers week.
There we go. But wanted to have Paul in this morning because I know he, throughout the Cody's Wish career, he was following around the family and all the connections and whatnot. And there was a book in the works and things have been firmed up there. So, Paul, talk a little bit about the upcoming book.
Yeah, it's there's a finish line in sight, Seth, which I got to tell you, there were times when it was barely in sight. But, yeah, I'm very fortunate. As you mentioned, I kind of stumbled upon the story at the Forgo in 2022.
And I'm glad you mentioned it. I pulled up the stretch run of that. So continue your story. We'll watch Cody's Wish win the Forgo in 2022 over Jackie's Warrior.
Well, it's funny, Seth. Here we go. I had covered Jackie's Warrior the previous couple of years, so this race, it's like, oh, this is easy, 1-9, write it ahead of time and fill in the quotes, and I'm down in the winner's circle. But Pipeline, who played a leading role in the Cody's Wish story, really made Jackie's Warrior work, and then all of a sudden, here comes the Godolphin Blue down the outside, and as Junior told me for the book, am I going to catch this horse? Yes, I'm going to catch this horse. So Sean Clancy, God love him, after the race said, there's a story behind this horse. You should look into it. And I had a couple of days because we weren't coming out for a few days, and got connected, went to Michael Banahan, who sent me to Mary Bourne, who sent me to Kelly Dorman. And 3 years later, here we are. I approached the Dormans in the beginning of 23 with the idea. Fortunately, no one had done it to that point, and we just kind of connected and started on it then. And just in June, very, very fortunate to sign a contract with Lions Press. I have a phenomenal editor named Brittany Stoner, and it's in publication stage right now. It'll be out right around the Derby next year.
Excellent.
So Cody's Wish, a boy, a horse, and a fight for life.
And fill us in. We have a shot of Cody's Wish, the horse, with Cody Dorman, the boy, and just kind of fill us in on the whole story behind this. And the connections to the horse just completely got into it as well.
Right. So Cody went on a Make-A-Wish trip, not to a horse farm. His wish was to go to Bass Pro Shop's headquarters, which he did. And about a month later, they asked him to be an ambassador for Make-A-Wish Day at Keeneland. And as part of that, he was paired up with a horse farm. And, we now know there are no coincidences with this story. He was sent to Godolphin. And that, what you just saw in the photo, that's basically Danny Mulvihill brought out a 5-month-old Cody's Wish with his mom, dance card. And there was just this connection. And Mary Bourne wasn't even there at the time, but it was so powerful that when it was relayed to her, roughly a year later, when it came time to name the horse, she suggested to the Godolphin folks Cody's Wish. They really don't name horses after people for obvious reasons, right? You name a horse Seth's Run, and the horse can't run, and Seth feels bad about it, right? But they made the exception, and they called Kelly Dorman and said, would like to name this horse for your son, and they did. And that photo, Seth, that you just showed, I saw it myself in person so many times in 2023, the year that I kind of followed them around the country. And it's just hard to explain because Cody's Wish, they start the Forgo, as you know, Seth, right over here. He almost knocked the gate down that day. He was a bad actor in the gate. Usually okay going to the gate, but just wanted to get out. And yet around Cody, he was like a Cocker Spaniel. Again, hard to explain, but he really enhanced Cody's quality of life the last 5 years that he lived.
And again, there was you could see the bond in the winner's circle throughout the story. And, you talk about you name a horse after someone, what's going to happen? Well, it worked out well here. 11 wins and 16 starts and $3 million. And, the Dorman family was clearly a big part of the whole story. And this type of a horse with that story behind it just became a fan favorite.
He did. Yeah, he did, which means we were getting – I couldn't bet the second Breeders' Cup because he was 3-5. I couldn't even bet him in the BCBC. And at that point, I was kind of too emotionally wrapped up in it that I was invested enough.
Yeah,
but, yeah, he really did. And I think his style of running, as you saw there, and if you go back and watch the 2 Breeders' Cups, especially the second one with National Treasure, the Preakness winner on an easy lead, you would think, how is this horse going to get there today? But get there he did. And, really the only stumble was up here. We're here on Whitney weekend. We all have our off days, and he just didn't have it that day. I don't think it was the distance. I don't think it was anything other than it was a bad day. So,
and throughout the course of this, you became obviously tied in with the family, and I'm sure they played prominently in the book, and your access will be reflected in the book as well.
Yes, they they're family now.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I know you're a Maine person. I was happy to have Kelly and Leslie and Kylie come up and join my family in Kennebunkport for 4 days, and then they spent a few days in Boston. And they're just they're salt of the earth people. They were chosen for what they did. And when I approached Kelly about the book and Leslie, I said the intention is to do a book, obviously about the horse, but about the story. And I think the story is pretty well known now in racing circles, at least. But I think you'll find when you read the book, and we do encourage you all to read it, that the depths of the challenges they faced isn't really known fully. And yes, God love them for giving me that type of access. And, at least for the last year or so, living through it with them. And then them just retelling the whole thing. And, this is when Cody was like 16. So they had to go back a long time and, check medical records. And I was able to talk to a couple of his doctors. And, the access was unlimited thanks to them.
So looking forward to the book. Again, comes out next April, you say?
It's going to be out right around the Derby.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the schedule right now. This is I'm a maiden author, first time starter as an author, Seth. So I am just trying to follow directions and do what Brittany tells me. And I think so far I have. But right around
first
the
time
Derby.
Author at that level. But again, you've been a writer for a long time.
Well, that's what I told Kelly. And I said, look, you guys have to take a leap of faith. I said I've been writing about 40 years. I said, I do have confidence in my ability to tell the story. I've never published a book before. I think we'll figure that out. And fortunately, we did.
Yeah, I'm sure that your writing skills translate aptly, and looking forward to the book. We'll certainly plug you back in as we get closer next year as well, but wanted to alert people to that. Before we let you go, just want to also talk a little bit about contest play. Are you qualified, NAC, BCBC? Because you have one of the best contest stories of all time, where you show up at the Keeneland Challenge last year, I think it was.
No, it was 23. It was
2 years ago with the HHH people who are definitely playing in the challenge, and you're kind of like, I don't know, man. And so the deadline was 12 o'clock, and like 11:50, you're like, maybe I'll play.
Yeah.
You win the whole contest.
Yeah, I think I struck lightning, to be honest with you. I actually did okay in the BCBC that year. I think like 37th or something. Not terrible. The NHC, the timing, depending on when it is tough for me. I'm really involved in high school basketball back in Massachusetts, and our state championships typically coincide. My friend Bob Mullins and I, we assign every official to all the state tournament games. So, and not for the BCBC yet. So, as of this second, I'm a one-hit wonder. So the 2023 Grade 1 game.
As I say, that was amazing, though, and you were playing kind of logically, and it worked out worked out very well. As I say, you decided the last minute to jump in and then win the whole thing. Before I let you go, tomorrow you're doing a little preview of the Derby, the Saratoga Derby for Saratoga Special, but the Whitney tomorrow as well. Any thoughts on stakes action tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm doing this. I think the Saratoga Derby is a very interesting race. There are 3 Euros in it, but Hot as Hell is the 7-5 morning line favorite. I got to meet him at 5:30 this morning.
Nice.
He was nice enough to welcomed me before I watched them train. Jessica Harrington was obviously a very well-known trainer in the UK and Ireland. She's over, and this is an odd story, Seth. You know, so many years, a lot of European trainers shipped over here looking for firmer turf. They actually shipped this horse thinking that they may get rain and softer turf. They scratched out of the French Guineas because the turf was too firm.
Oh,
They picked this race hoping that they would get some given the ground to get. So grade 1, 2, and 3 group 1, 2, and 3 winner over there. I think looks very formidable. But, you know, Graham Motion's horse, I saw him this morning, test score, really has run very, very well the last 6-7 races. At Belmont Derby that I know you were here for, thought was excellent. So I think it's an interesting matchup of a couple of real good U.S. horses. And as I say, I think the other 2 Euros aren't at the level of Hot as Hell, who's owned by folks from Kentucky, by the way. Silverton Hill, Bonnie and Tommy Hamilton from Kentucky.
very nice.
So, you know, as far as the Whitney, I was handicapping while people were treated to Marshall Gramm before the big drop-off in guests you just had. Boy, I'll tell you, I can't get out of my head that Sierra Leone is one of those really, really, really good horses who is really pace dependent.
Yeah.
Now, the time form is telling you that it's going to be a fast pace. Boy, I'm looking for a bad race on Fierce's sheet, and it's hard to find.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I think I'm going to land Fierce's, and I'm going to maybe try to get Brittany Russell's horse post time. I thought ran really well in the Breeders' Cup.
That would be a fun story.
Ran very respectable in the Whitney. Is he quite as good as the top level? Not sure, but I think he'll be over 10-1 to help us find out.
Yeah. Paul, appreciate the visit. Again, doing a little work for the Saratoga Special as normal when Paul comes into town. We'll see also Travers Weekend, but I wanted John today to just give a little preview of the Cody's Wish story in book form coming up Derby time next year. So enjoy the weekend. Travel safe home, and we'll see you again later in the meet, but appreciate the visit this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, National Thoroughbred League, relatively new entity in the game. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up a little bit later on. There's a Old Friends at Cabin Creek event coming up, so stay tuned.
It's been referred to as possibly the best equine-themed gift shop on the planet. Impressions of Saratoga. Impressions of Saratoga, celebrating the Saratoga and equestrian lifestyles. It's your #1 choice for Saratoga souvenirs, apparel, and gift shopping. We have gifts for the entire family, and we're pet-friendly too. Visit us online at impressionssaratoga.com or come on down. Impressions of Saratoga, 368 Broadway, downtown Saratoga.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Again, live from our Clare Court location on a gorgeous Friday morning. We are happy to be joined now, as promised, Ed Pugh from the National Thoroughbred League, relatively new entity in the Thoroughbred game, and we're going to learn a little more about it. Ed, good morning.
Thanks for having me on. I've been coming up here a long time, and I've been watching for a long time in the morning.
I appreciate it.
You have great insight.
I appreciate it. We try anyway. I don't know. We always succeed, but we'll give some insight this morning on National Thoroughbred League. First of all, how long you've been around? I was estimating earlier a couple of years. It's relatively new, but talk about how long you've been around and just define the National Thoroughbred League.
Absolutely. So we've been around this is our third year. The first year there was a couple events, and then we went to 3 and went to 4. The whole premise is like really team-based horse racing, right? I know Formula One has been an extremely successful team-based racing organization. And I kind of always, explain the NTL where, their teams are based on automobile manufacturers, and ours are based on cities. And one of our big focus points is to find a celebrity owner from each city. So Dr. J, and I happen to be one of the Philadelphia Stallions owners with him. He loves horse racing, by the way.
Oh,
loves it. He's been to Derby 12 times. He gets a big
Excellent.
kick out of it. Lamar Jackson for the Maryland Colts. Very interested in developing a program with the governor where underprivileged kids can come to the track. So that was great to have a ton of families learning about racing, but also we're going to be building something during the year, which will be educational programs. They can go in rotations and learn about different jobs in racing for future opportunities. We have Nelly in St. Louis. We were just out there. So it's kind of a music and sports element. And then we go to Nashville for Labor Day weekend with Tanya Tucker. So we're all excited about that.
And that'll be your kind of season ender out there at Kentucky
Yes,
Downs
for this year.
Yeah, exactly. And part of your mission is to help the industry. And what are you looking for the National Thoroughbred League to do in that?
Yeah,
regard?
absolutely. So one of our big focus areas is community, right? So when we go to certain tracks, we do like to make donations. So let's just say at parks, the PTHA, right, or the Disabled Jockeys Fund. Lamar, we ran a big benefit, for his charity at Friday night. The governor came. So we take a lot of pride in, we don't own the horses in the NTL. The vast majority are local trainers and owners that really have an opportunity to run for enhanced purses. We pay the purses for the NTL races, and it brings them in to a new experience. And also, like in Maryland, everyone's excited to be part of the Maryland Colts, right? And maybe you were that Maryland trainer that had that Maryland, silks on. So, yeah, and ultimately also just creating revenue opportunities, right, for the racetracks and hosts. We have more people coming on the average, when it comes to concessions, merchandise sales. The handle has been higher, right, which we participate in. But also longer term with the tracks, we're appreciative that we do have a lot of partners that want us, which is the most simplistic thing. But longer term, also really building up team-based gambling, right? So, we can always bet, I'm a Giants fan and I hate the Eagles. I could bet the Giants against the Eagles, right? But I could also bet on the New York Knights versus Philadelphia Stallions in a couple of years. Offering different betting alternatives is critical for the long-term success.
And I went to your website, and I pulled up the team standings currently. Just explain, there is the website address. People can visit that for more information as well. But also, as I say, pulled up the list of the team standings. Explain, how you accumulate points and what the game plan is going through the NTL season.
Yeah, so each of our individual events, there is a cup winner, right? So we've either run 3 or 5 races. To make a long story short with the scoring, if you finish first, you're probably getting, 1,000 points, second 900, right? And it goes down. And the last race is worth more. So we really try to place a lot of time into evaluating the horses that are entered. So we have equal fields, right? It's tough for us to sell a 2 to 5 shot, right? Because you almost kind of know who will probably win.
Yeah.
And we also really want to have big fields. That's why we offer the enhanced purses. So at this point, every team has a horse in the race. So that's kind of like the point system. But there is a cup winner for each location. The New York Knights just won the last one in St. Louis. They're hot this year. Our team, Philadelphia, won last year, so excited about that. A little tough this year, right? We're struggling, but there's always next year. And just trying to keep the teams engaged. And the last event, right, is kind of the cup at the end. So it is similar to auto racing. There's an individual winner, but the points accumulate for all the various, events. Then you have a annual cup winner at the end.
Talk about the events themselves. Again, you have the season ender coming up in a few weeks, but you've had some events already this year at the various locations. Which tracks have you been at, and what's event day like? It seems like you try to make it a special day.
Yeah, so the way I kind of describe the NTL events, it's a entertainment event centered around horse racing, right? So we love to have fans that have come to the track for the first time. I mean, I love to answer the question, where's the winner's circle, right? Because we're bringing them into the sport. You know, they're maybe betting on a few horses. They're getting to know a little bit about the sport. But in our race days, we usually have our races at the latter part of the card, right? We offer entertainment opportunities in between the races. Like one of my favorite is the fashion show. So the track will coordinate it where, you know, I do the emceeing. There'll be like probably like 10 people that get in the fashion show. We did have Jose Santos. He's part of the Miami team in the fashion show, a lovely guy. Dr. J's daughters were in the fashion show. And we have a lot of fun with that. So that'll be between the race. Of course, we don't have a lot of time, right? So we have about 5 or 7 minutes. And we added a kids race, right, which is really popular. So the kids are on the bouncy horses. You know, I have the opportunity to announce it, make up kids' names. And the last winner in St. Louis actually got a chance to take a picture afterward with a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Jeroby White, who's also part of the Miami team, right? But music is also a big focus, right? We've had Kyla Healy, who's singing a lot of our events. We have Jeroby White. We're hoping maybe for a big concert with Nelly last year. And my son is our event DJ. He's 15, DJ Tidal Wave. He's pretty good. So keep the family involved, right?
You got to. Guys can put up the website address if people want more information, and how do businesses get involved if they might be interested.
Yeah, so a couple things like how do folks get involved. We'd love for people to come to an event and learn about it. That's what I did for the first time when I started to express some interest. Even doing the VIP experience when you can like meet Lamar Jackson or Nelly. You see the website here, but we're also looking for companies that might want to partner and sponsor with us, right? My email address is epew@ntl.racing if you want to contact me for that. But we're looking for more fans that really want to look at horse racing a little differently. Like, hey, I'm going to go root for the St. Louis Nellies. I mean, the people in St. Louis were so excited because it really launched a new sports team, right? So, we're looking at fans that come out and have a good time and bet more on the races. If we have any potential opportunities for sponsors or partners, that'd be amazing. But having an opportunity like this, and I do watch you and Anthony, all the time. Every time I come up here,
appreciate it.
Yeah. So now it's a pleasure. We're really trying to, of course, grow a business, but also help the the sport of racing that we all love.
Yeah, it's a fun idea. And again, relatively new and still growing and whatnot. And as I say, the season-ending event's coming up in a few weeks, so we can all take a look at that when it comes up, visit the website and learn more. But I wanted to get you in here this morning just to set things up for people who may not be familiar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Learn a little more about it. National Thoroughbred League. Ed, we appreciate the visit.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Appreciate
Good luck today at the track, everyone.
And, and the same to you as well. Same to all of us. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Cabin Creek, Old Friends at Cabin Creek, the nice facility right up in Greenfield for retired racehorses. They have a couple of events coming up soon, so we'll hit on that. One of them is coming up in just a couple of days. Want to make you aware of that. We'll hit on that in just a few. Stay tuned.
Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops.
My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, a little discussion on Old Frinds Cabin Creek with, hey, it's our friend Teresa Genaro. Teresa, good morning.
Nice to be back. How are you?
Very good. And
good.
You're in a little sub action for Joanne Pepper, one of the folks running Old Frinds at Cabin Creek, but a little bit busy up there now. So as a supporter, we'll have you in to talk about the event coming up, because there is a nice event coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Joanne and her husband Mark actually own the farm. They had thought about starting it as a breeding farm, and then when they realized maybe 15, 16 years ago that retired thoroughbreds really needed a place to go, they decided to do this. And so they both own it and manage it. They do most all the work themselves. They have an enormous group of really, really dedicated volunteers. This is a really special weekend for them, because for 9 years, two-time Whitney winner Commentary lived there, and unfortunately, sadly passed away at the end of June, which came as sort of a surprise. He had some chronic illnesses. He had Potomac horse fever, but he had been doing well, and Joanne really expected him to recover, and she and many of the volunteers were just crushed when he didn't make it. But that opened up a paddock, and on Monday or Sunday, Whitney winner Diversify arrived. Both Commentator and Diversify had started out their retirement at the Old Frinds facility in Georgetown, Kentucky.
Okay.
But both of them being New York breds, it made sense for them to come up here. There are a bunch of other New York breds on the farm, but this is a really special weekend for the farm because of their Whitney winners. And it's great that Diversify got here in time for his race.
Yeah, that's great. I saw Michael Blown over on the front side 2 or 3 days ago, who, of course, started Old Frinds in Kentucky, and then we have the offshoot right up here in Greenfield, as you say, with some New York breds. And, of course, for a long time before his passing, Zippy Chippy was up there.
Yeah.
As I understand, was kind of a fan favorite. Well, he was a fan favorite every.
Right.
I was at his last race at Northampton Fair, which was loss number 100 with no wins, and I think he went off as the favorite. May have wound up second choice, but a long time in the betting he was the favorite, and I think everybody just wanted the ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a couple of lovely small cemeteries up there too. So Zippy Chippy is buried there. Will's Way, Williamstown, perhaps. I'm not sure about that one. That's really great too, to go up there, and just because they're gone, they're definitely not forgotten.
I went to the website and I pulled it up. I think the guys have this shot. If you, I think it's right on the front page. If you scroll down enough, you see the board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
Board of directors. It's all horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it should be.
You gotta love that.
As it should be.
Essentially, all the horses that are up there. There they are. Board of directors. You have to appreciate that.
Yeah, and just looking at the slide, a Shin Forward came back from Japan. He was a New York bred. Stood at stud in Japan, was quite successful, and he was bred by Vivian Malloy's Edition Farm in New York. So if you look at their Naughty New Yorker, Mr. Cowboy, Be Bullish, all New York breds.
And if you'd like to go up, there are August tours, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 9 to 1. That'll go through August 30th. There'll be fall tours as well. You can check all that information out on the website. There is the street address and the website address. You can get a lot of good info there. But again, we brought you in because it's become such an important part of the game, such a factor now to the aftercare of the animals we love to watch during the afternoon here on race days. They get a nice retirement at a facility like this, but you have to pay for the food and care and whatnot. And so events like the one coming up on Sunday are important. And that's why I brought you a nice party coming up to benefit Old Friends at Cabin Creek on Sunday.
Yeah, it's at the Marriott Excelsior, just down the street from the Old Bryan Inn, if you know where that is, on Excelsior Avenue in Saratoga. It starts at 6:30. Dress code is Saratoga style, but I've been to enough of these that you can really just come as you are and you will fit right in. Tickets are $150. You could buy them on the website. There will be a silent auction. Joanne told me she was really excited about the silent auction items that they will have there this year. And it's a lovely way to raise money for these horses. Obviously they get donations often from the people who were connected to the horse before their retirement, but it's, see lots of people, have fun, have a cocktail, take home a halter of somebody famous. Yeah, it's fun. It's a really nice event.
And again, for a great cause,
Yep.
Old Friends at Cabin Creek. And I think I also pulled up a few shots of Old Friends for folks who haven't visited. As I say, you can go up, and there are tours regularly throughout the season. Check the website for that information. But, it's all about, as I say, the retirement of these horses that we enjoy so much. As I noted earlier and have with other guests already, this is Rick Schosberg and whatnot, the whole aftercare thing has really become something that's come to the forefront over the past, 5 years certainly, but maybe going back even 10.
Yeah. And the tours at Cabin Creek are great. As I said, they have a lot of volunteers. They know the horse's history, like every element of their PPs and where they've been and what they've done. The tours are free. They do ask for donations, but your tour guide will take you around with a basket of treats and peppermints and carrots. And so you don't have to just stand back to enjoy the horses. You can pet them. Some are friendlier than others, but when I went up to see Diversify the other day, he was in his run-in shed. It was one of those really, really hot days. But as soon as we walked up to his fence line, he just came ambling right over. Easy adjustment for him. And he's in Commentator's old paddock,
nice.
which is also really fitting. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Diversify was also the late Rick Violet's last grade one winner. And that was an incredible Whitney for folks who remember. The race was delayed for 40 minutes because of that horrible deluge.
That's right.
And Rick had been in treatment for cancer for a number of years, so it was very poignant. And as
one of the
Diversify
guys
came,
really pushing the whole aftercare.
yeah, absolutely. The aftercare scene would not look like what it is without Rick Violet. I mean, he was a trailblazer. But also, when Diversify came back to the winner's circle, Rainbow came out.
Oh, that's right.
So it was a pretty special day.
So again, we have the event coming up on Sunday. You just saw the slate the guys put up. There are a couple other events coming up as well a little bit later in the month. Both look like fun as well.
Yeah, the Nanola one is kind of rowdy. There's
I like that.
There's a rock band that plays loads of covers. Definitely dancing. It was very loud last year, but there's a lovely patio that your porch you can go out on if the noise gets to be too much with you. Saratoga Stable is instrumental and a huge supporter of Old Friends at Cabin Creek, and it's a really, really fun event.
Thursday, August 21st.
Yep.
And then you can go up to the farm and get a visit to the farm towards the end of the month, Tuesday, August 26th. And this event is kind of interesting because it's going to essentially honor, for lack of a better word, the New York Gate Crew.
Yeah. Some of the unsung heroes at the racetrack. They are so instrumental in helping horses feel comfortable at the gate, get off to a fair start. So I think it's great that Old Friends is doing this. There'll be a food truck and a caricature artist and raffles of lots of different types of things.
So some fun events coming up. First and foremost, Sunday. And again, you can get more information, tickets and whatnot at the website. And again, make sure you put a visit to Cabin Creek on your list during the meet or in the fall as well. It's 10 minutes, 15?
It's about a
longer than
15-minute
that?
drive
15,
from downtown Saratoga. It's very easy to get to. The farm is beautiful. I'm partial to it in the fall because Saratoga's colors are so beautiful. But it's so beautifully taken care of by Joanne and Mark and the whole crew out there.
Teresa, we appreciate the visit and the info on the upcoming events because, again, Cabin Creek, Old Friends at Cabin Creek, a nice part of the Saratoga scene and, again, taking care of the retired racehorses. So definitely wanted to promo some of the events coming up, including the Sunday event. So appreciate the visit.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
All right, we'll wrap it up for this Friday morning, a gorgeous Friday morning, leading into a gorgeous Friday afternoon with some good racing that leads into better racing. Hard to believe it'd be better, but with the Whitney tomorrow, a number of stakes races, it's going to be a great Saturday. So we're looking forward to that. But we'll wrap it up for this Friday and remind you that tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning, because of an early post, we're kind of abbreviated, but we're still going to start at 9. We're just going to kind of abbreviate both shows a little bit. But 9 a.m., it will be handicapper support. We'll kick off Racing Across America actually at 9:45 and wrap up a little early because of the early post time tomorrow. But that's the situation tomorrow. Kicking things off, as usual, 9 a.m. live from our Clare Court location. See you then.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.